Hello future millionaires! Today we're going to be making a game time clock. This is different from other tutorials because it is very hard to find a tutorial that does not use real time. They're all based on your computer PC clock. This one is based on only what you can make inside your game. You're making the clock from scratch. With that said, next we are going to move directly into an advanced weather system. Don't worry, it's step by step. I'm not going to just get halfway into it. It's like, okay, well, you basically got it. No, I will take you step by step. You won't miss anything. But it will be a tree that selects the intensity, the variability of weather based on probability, all from this one clock that shows the different seasons. With that said, let's get started. I'm going to briefly go over how this works, and then we're going to make it ourselves. So here we are going to wait for 1 second. We're going to move into minutes, which will add whatever amount of seconds that you determine and check to see if that matches a minute. So this will be customizable. You can make 5 seconds match 1 minute or 10 minutes. It's all up to you. It should fit whatever you're doing. Here's where it actually adds the minutes. When it adds the minutes, it will reset the seconds back to 0 and check to see if we've hit an hour. At an hour, we're doing a lot of different things. Don't worry, we're just going to go over it little by little. We'll make it from the ground up. But just so you know what we're doing, it's going to check to see if we're at morning, night, noon, and if we're at another day. At day reset, same thing. It's basically the same thing over and over. You set how many seconds are going to be how many minutes will be an hour, how many hours will be a day. Then we change the seasons. It doesn't have to be 4. You can pick as many seasons or as few seasons, dry, rainy, fantasy seasons, whatever you want. And then at the end we'll change year. I haven't put this in yet, but I will release the package right at the end of it so you can experiment. But I would highly suggest that you make this yourself. In the next tutorial video, I'm going to show you how to do this part up here. When you move it, it'll show you which season you're on. It will display a weather particle effect and the information about the year, the day, whatever, all up here. In your actual game, you would want to connect these things to, say if you're working in a 3D environment, you're going to want to change the river, the environment, based on the variables. So what this is doing is it's setting up the framework of the global variables the rest of your game can call from to know what time of day it is. If it's night, it'll change the sky. You can set the sky to actually move with the time of day. So this should be pretty useful. I'm going to deactivate my game clock so we can start a new one. Create an empty object. This will be game clock or time management. Add an FSM. On this we want to add a second. We'll use wait. We're going to wait 1 second and the finish event will be a new event. Seconds to minutes. New state. Seconds to minutes. Here we'll need an int add. Create a new variable, seconds. We're going to add 1. Then we're going to do an int compare. We'll take seconds to a new variable, seconds to minutes. We need to set this variable, and we're going to say that 2 seconds is equal to 1 minute. So when this reaches 2, we're going to add a minute. And that's one of the parts that you can customize. So you can make it take longer or shorter. Add minute. Here we're going to have an int add. And in this one we're going to add minutes, and we'll add 1. And as a fallback, if it's equal, we will add a minute. If it's less than, we will keep counting. So that'll loop us back around if it's not a minute yet and just keep going. And sometimes it's good practice that if a value actually does go over, you want it to still do what you intended to do. So I would still add this to add minute. And it's helpful to set this to every frame. On add minute, the seconds need to be reset. So set int value, bring this to the top so it happens first and doesn't get lost or stray. And we want seconds to be reset to 0. And then we want to do an int compare to keep it moving into the next tree. On the int compare, we're going to take minutes. And however many minutes you want this to be, to make an hour, then you would put it here. And now keep in mind, if you are going to change the number of minutes or number of hours based on winter or fall or seasonal, you might want to make another variable here so you can change it instead of just typing in a number. But if it's always going to be the same amount, just type in a number. So we can say that 4 minutes equal an hour. So if it's equal, add an hour. If it's less than, we want to keep counting. And then add an hour if it's greater for some reason. So keep counting. And add hour. On add hour, we want to set minutes back to 0. We want to add a new variable. We'll add 1 hour, and then we'll compare. We'll compare hours to a day reset. So you choose how many hours are in your clock. Maybe your game doesn't actually go to all 24 because you don't want your player to be awake all day. So you can set this to whatever you want, but for simplicity you might want to just set it to 24. And if it's equal, we're going to do a day reset. If it's less than, we're going to keep counting. And also on add hour, you want to check to see if it's morning, noon, or night. So we're going to make a bunch of int compares. And we're going to change this from any number less than 24. As long as it's between 0, well, I'd say 1 and 24, you'll be able to use this as a comparison. For example, morning is never going to be 24. It won't get in the way of all the int compares, as long as you do them within that window. So we'll say that when we're at 1 hour, it will be morning. You could probably also use 0, I haven't tested it yet. If it's less than, we'll do nothing. And if it's greater than, we'll do nothing. Although less than might also make it morning, so I'll just put it there. And we'll test that every frame. And add is morning. On is morning, you'll want a bool. And the bool, you want a global variable because the rest of your game is probably going to use this information when it sets the lighting for morning, so on and so forth. So is morning. Unfortunately, I already have this in the other clock. So I'm just going to add a number. And we'll set this to yes. And back here we need another comparison. And instead of morning, we'll want noon, so we'll change this to 12. And if it is equal, is noon. If it's less than, we'll do nothing and nothing. I'll duplicate this, and we'll call it is noon. On this, we want to change is morning to not morning, and add another variable, make it a global, is noon. And just for safety's sake, I'm going to copy it and put it on, where did it go? Oh, I'll just duplicate this, it's easier. So we want noon to not be in morning, just in case we're going to make all three of these deactivate and activate the appropriate one. We'll need another int compare. And let's say at 18, it doesn't really matter. It is night. Less than nothing and greater than nothing is night. And just like the others, you will need to set the variables. So morning, it is not. Noon, it is not. New global variable is night. Yes. It keeps pasting to a new state. Paste action after. Same here. And now what will happen is the states will get just completely stuck on these. I'm going to add a waiter to them. And I'm just going to go 0.01, and the finish event will be keep counting. That way it cannot get stuck. Copy this. This is going to be one of my longer tutorials. I hate long tutorials just as much as you do. There. Ta-da! There are other ways to organize these so you don't have arrows going all over, but that's not the point of this tutorial. So if we press play, then it's working. We're at 1 hour. And then once it gets to 24 hours, because I didn't set it at a low testing number, when you test this for yourself, keep all of the values very, very small. That way you can get all the way through the tree and see what it's doing. And then when you're actually working on your game and debugging it, that is a really good time to put the hours back to a realistic number as expected gameplay. So I'm going to turn this off, it's working just fine. So on the day reset, we want our hours to be reset. Hours. We want to change this back to 0. And we want to add int, come to me, int add. Now we need days, or day, however you want. Add 1. Unless you're doing like a week by week zombie game or something, which adds 7. Now we want int compare. We'll do days, to however many days are in a season. Like, for example, if you have 30 days in a month, we'll make one season change. So you'd have 120 in a year. 20. So for like debugging, I might just go like 2 days at the most. That way don't have to wait for this tree to go all the way through. I'm going to put it at 3 though. And when it's equal to 3, we want to change the season, or change year, but we're going to go change season. If you have no seasons, then you just set however many days are in the year and then put this to change year and you'll have your stuff made. If it's less than, we're going to keep counting. Mew. And if it's greater than, just be careful, we'll just put change season. So here we need to change the season. I can already feel you guessing how we're going to do this, and it's not really that complicated. We're going to do an int add, and we're going to do season is, we're going to add 1, do an int compare, we're going to do season is, and we're going to compare it against a number for each season that you happen to have. So if we have 4 seasons, the first season will be 1. If it's equal, it's going to be, in my case, spring. Is spring. And you would do the same for the rest of them. You would copy this, and this time change it to 2, and instead of spring it'll be is summer. Add is summer. And just like over here, you're going to want to set bools, global bools that tell the game what season it is. You can even do transitions. Like instead of 4, have like 8 seasons and do in the middle a transition between summer and spring. Something will happen during that time. But rather than doing all the seasons and boring you to death, I'm going to show you how to change the year. So we need one more int compare. And we're going to compare the season is number to 5, because that means season 4 has went all the way to the end, all the way through the days, and instead of going into a new season, it's going to hit 5, and if it's equal, we're going to change the year. Change year. And for year change, you might want a whole bunch of int compares, like say it's a story game and on year 3 this very specific thing happens. Then you'll have a whole bunch of global bools attached that will tell it that, hey, this special thing has ended or is starting based on the number of the year. So int add year number. We'll add 1, but we also have to set the season back to 0 or we'll have a lot of problems. So we'll set the value, move this to the top, move, season is, and we'll set this back to 0 so when it hits the clock all the way over here, it'll start from scratch all over again. There you go, working clock. Let me see if I can change the hours so it's a lot of a smaller number, and then we'll go all the way through the tree. Alright, here we go. We're adding our seconds. It's adding a minute. I just realized that I set these to realistic numbers over here, and since it's no longer 24, we're going to skip the seasons entirely. To fix that, we'll set this to like 6. And for is morning, we'll compare to 1. 4 is noon, we'll compare to 2. And is night, we'll compare to 4. Now it should work. I don't like long videos any more than you like watching long videos. I didn't know how to make this one any shorter. Well, while we're waiting, I might as well explain other things. In the weather tutorial that we're going to be doing next, using this clock that we've made here, and if you don't want to make this clock for whatever reason, then I will post it in the next video that you can download this and use it for the weather tutorial along with the graphics I'll be using. What have I done?